name is Joe Kelly and here is my plan for my advertising project. So what is advertising? So advertising is a form of media that will promote a product or service, or it will be to gain an audience for a product or brand or service. Advertising can be done in multiple forms of media such as moving image, print or radio. For moving image it could be on a TV, or it could be through YouTube and the internet. Through print it could also just be like billboards in everyday life, or it could be banner ads on websites. And for radio it could be either just in the car, or it could be on Spotify for forms of new media. So in order to kind of figure out what I wanted to do for my advertising project, I thought I'd start to research some advertising brands and companies that make advertising like adverts. So here are some brands that I looked into, and I kind of looked at some popular adverts that they made and researched them and analysed them and picked out what worked and what didn't. And a lot of the stuff that worked was having something short and concise that you could easily figure out what the product was, who it was for, and it really felt like they put time and effort into researching it before they started making it. As well as that, I looked into some advertising companies that make adverts kind of like in... I just go on.
Yeah, just come.
Okay, I looked at some advertising companies that make different adverts in the UK just to figure out what they made, what sort of the chain of the command was, and how the company kind of mindset was when making adverts. So I looked at some conventions for an advertising campaign. So using music in the advert, like popular music, so when people watch the advert and they remember the popular music, they're going to remember the advert itself, as well as that what platform it's going to be based on and where it's going to be seen, whether that be TV or the internet, and then that's more important on what target audience it's going to be, as well as that, like a narrative for the advert, the importance of having relatable actors. So if you're watching the advert and this one relatable that you can see on the screen, you'll be thinking, oh, okay, well that's something that I can buy since I'm relating to the actor. As well as that, I looked at the purpose of the advert, which is mainly to show the quality of the product or how the audience can use the product. So once again, like a target audience, knowing when and where and who to actually target the advert for. As well as that representation in the advert, which I think is very important. Having representation for a certain type of group can have a whole new set of people coming in to watch the advert and be able to use the product. So after kind of looking at the conventions and advertising companies and adverts themselves, I looked at what my advert could be. What I decided upon was looking at some moving image stuff. So I looked at some stuff that I thought worked well and some that I didn't work well. Like this Cadbury advert I really liked, got to the point, it kind of showed what it was and what it needed to be. Then I looked at this Sony advert for PlayStation. I thought it was went on a little bit too long, because come up with a short film, didn't really show what the actual product's meant to be, so I compared them and looked at the differences, what was good and what was bad about them. Then for print, I looked at billboards, because I thought it was the most interesting way to make an advert, really cool looking, like this mini here, looks like it's driving across, or here, it looks like a guy is trying to whiten someone's teeth. I thought these really interesting ideas to make an advert. And for radio, I looked at old media and new media. We've had car radios for ages now, and I also looked at Spotify and SoundCloud and how these two kind of do different adverts and how long the adverts are for and what the advert contains itself. Okay, so my intentions for this project is to make an effective 30-second advert for the PlayStation 4 with exclusive, showing off its games and PlayStation how it works. To do this, I'm going to be using the share feature, so instead of spending a lot of money getting screen recording software and doing all this stuff, the PlayStation itself actually has a button that you can use and you can record stuff. That kind of takes out a lot of time, and you can take the clips and I can put them onto Premiere Pro. Then for the advert, I'm going to be using these specific games because they're brand new, they've just come out and they're really effective, and then it will show, oh, okay, so these are the type of games I can buy with the PlayStation. Really important to show that and really market the product. So, for my brief, I couldn't actually, Sony seemed to be a little bit cagey about giving out their own briefs. Maybe they don't want people like Xbox or other companies knowing what adverts they're making. So I decided to make my own by researching to other briefs itself. So this is one that I made, so I made sure to have a logo and different games that should be included, a tagline that should be included, so if I gave this out to someone, they could easily follow it. We were able to make a good and effective advert with things like brand statement, project background, your target audience, who it should be for, an advert objective, and just in general how to make it, what software to use. And I thought this was really important to make like an effective advert, an effective group. So after that, I kind of figured out, okay, so I have my brief, I have my idea, but I should really do a SWOT analysis to figure out exactly what's going to be good, what's going to be bad, and what's going to work. So for strengths, I think I have using Premiere Pro, editing clips together, and in my advert I've planned out using a bit of live action, so I think I'm effective at using that. Then for weaknesses, just using Adobe Audition in complex ways and like syncing up sound, because I haven't really done that as much in past projects, kind of getting sound just right, so working on that is really important. For opportunities, once again using the screen recording software, and since I'm going to be playing the games to kind of direct the action to get an effective clip, it's going to be like a whole new way of making something, because obviously here we don't have the budget to have explosions and car chases, but here in a video game it could be anything, so that's important. And for threats, kind of the song not being in time, or the clips having a low resolution or a low frame rate, and that could really affect the whole smoothness of the advert. So for my target audience, I looked at, it's obviously, although despite popular belief that gamers are people who sit in their parents' basement and will die in the sign of sunlight, in fact actually they're far and wide. In a lot of places, like on the internet and through communities like Reddit, I thought it was really important to research that, to get different voices, and as well as that, I looked at communities on PlayStation itself to kind of find like a more important target audience. Instead of looking at, oh, this age group or this ethnic group, I looked at a whole group of people that I could market the advert towards. And finally, YouTube gaming, there's a whole gaming platform on YouTube, and there you can see comments and see what people are like and what people don't like. And I think that was really important. These are two channels that are directly for gaming that I researched and I kind of looked into. So knowing where to market them was just half the problem, so I looked at making a survey. Here are some questions I asked, and here's some answers, but I also, instead of kind of sending out the survey to some friends, I put it on Reddit itself. This is Silent Snuggle account. And then this could be seen by anyone. I got a large group of responses, and that really helped me figure out exactly what I wanted the advert to be. So after that I looked at some other gaming advertisements. So I looked at PlayStation, this is for the players, this is what I looked at earlier, and I thought this was good, but it just went on a little bit too long. It came off more of a short film instead of actually advertising the product. Also looked at a very old one that marketed the Xbox 360, bang, once again this didn't really show anything, it was more just like a publicity stunt if anything. Then as well as I looked at the Nintendo Switch, Anytime, Anywhere, this was another advert which really was a little bit too live action, and the running through line for all of these I felt was they didn't show the game. I think a bit of a cardinal sin that a lot of gaming adverts do, they don't show the game, and that's why you're buying the product. I don't know why they don't show it, so that's what I want to do, that's what I think is important to make this advert, so I can make the game, make the advert showing the game, showing this is what you're going to get if you buy this product. So the challenges for this is a little bit more complex than if I was just going to do a normal advert. So getting effective clips I think is very important, trying to get position the camera and the frame to get it right, because I don't have the dev kit and editing tools that maybe the developers do. I'm going to have to try and do that myself, kind of finding the right stuff. Also turning off screen parts, so if you play video games you know that on screen you can find something like a health bar or the amount of something you have. It's important turning that off so people can actually see it and making it look more cinematic. So as that, using music, I've tried to find songs that have a constant steady beat throughout the song so I can properly sync that up and keep the audience entertained. As well as that, it should be popular songs that anyone can go and listen to and be like, oh yeah, I know that song, I'm going to remember this advert. So thanks for listening. Any questions?
Does this mean the advert I want to do, is it going to be more real in-person footage, or literally all gameplay?
It's going to be, I reckon, about 5 seconds at the beginning of the PlayStation turning on, and then the rest of it is going to be gameplay cut between Spider-Man, God of War, Bloodborne and Uncharted, and these 4 games are going to hopefully sell the product.
Your target audience isn't aged. Have you looked at what the ratings of the age range for the games are?
Yeah, I have. I've also looked at some advertising codes and research into that, and then looking at that I can figure out, okay, well if I don't show certain things and kind of keep it in the advertising codes guidelines, then that's not going to affect it as much. So it could be this, I'm just going to make the advert for everyone and not try and show, I know, someone getting their head cut off or something.